Greeting teachers and hello everyone. Welcome to our Group 2 presentation. This is Rotana presenting now. We are going to elaborate on The Village by the Sea as an Indian lecturer that talk about the hardship in life, solely focus on chapter 9. And my team member are Longthai, Me Rotana, Sathirot, Bharat, and Bongse. Here, our content that we have. Summary will presented by the five of us. Character analysis will be presented by Longthai. Theme analysis and psychoanalytic theory which will presented by Theorot and Singh. And last but not least, connection between the story and the real life situation which will presented by Bharat. Let's start with the first main point, which is summary of this chapter. Let me introduce you guys to the character. Me, Ratana as the Harry and Bala, Bunsing as the Leela and the narrator, Tirot as the Mr. Panwala and Mr. Jagu, Longthai as policeman, Mr. Dasilwa and Kamal, Bharat as the old gentleman and Mrs. Dasilwa. And now let's enjoy our role play.
After managing to find a workplace and start working, Harry was still needed to get accustomed to the new place, which was quite an ordeal task. Every night, he had to sleep on a hard floor while dealing with the heat in the kitchen.
Harry, here are 7 rupees for you as you've been working here for 1 week.
Oh, thank you. It seemed to grow hotter and hotter and never cool down in firelit kitchen even at night.
What's the matter, Harry? Not ill, are you? Can't sleep in here, huh? Must be terrible hot and stuffy. This is the bad month. My room is as bad as the shop. It's on the floor. And tell you what, why don't you go and sleep in the park? I wish I could come too. It will be cooler, but my cat will be waiting for me.
Sleeping in the park was not that different and grand from the kitchen, but it was definitely a much better choice since he didn't have to deal with the heat anymore, while also having an opportunity to listen to the birds chirping every time he woke up. However, his long for tranquility didn't last long as he was confronted by one policeman who decided to lash out his anger on him.
Hey, get up, boy. Go home. This is no place to sleep here. Get up quick or I will take you off to the police station. You can sleep as much as you like there.
I have nowhere to go. I live here.
Nowhere to go, eh? I will show you where you can go.
Why bully a poor harmless boy, Mr. Mighty Policeman? There are enough bad characters in this city. Thug, murderer, thief, gambler, drunkard. Why not go after them instead? Why not start with those drunkards playing cards on the corner over there? They are making life unsafe for us who live in this locality. We are afraid to come to this park because of them, not because of this poor boy who has no home and nowhere else to sleep.
Where? Where are these men? I better go and see.
The policeman made no argument against that and decided to end this matter by allowing Harry to continue his sleep in the park. In the afternoon of the another day, Harry was called by Mr. Panwala to sit beside him and watch him fixing an old grandfather clock.
Hey boy, come here. Wanna help? Wanna make a clock tick? Here, I show you how to make and look carefully, huh? Interesting, isn't it? How would you like to learn? I make you as my apprentice, and in the afternoon, when you don't have work to do in the kitchen, of course, you can ask Jagu first. I can pay you a little, but not much. So, you can help me for 2 hours a day. And how you like that, huh, Harry?
Mr. Panwala, Chagu said that's okay. I can come.
Okay, Harry. Here, let's start at once so we can see if you have a taste for it.
But my hands are dirty.
Dirty, are they? Just wipe them with this towel here.
As for Leela, Kamal, and Bella, they were getting ready to bid a farewell to the Silvas family. He told the three sisters not to worry much about their mother, who was being taken good care of at the hospital.
Don't you worry about your mother. I'm going to stop in Alibaba to give your dad some money to keep him going till he's well, and they can come home. Will that be alright?
Look after Sayid Elisa hit well. Make sure you see he eats his meal. It's the sort of thing he forgot. So you will have to remember. He's a great man, so take care of him. I have left enough money for you to give him fish, meal, and eggs every day. So he likes vegetables, so get plenty of vegetable for him. And one more thing, don't forget to clean the kitchen every night before you lock it, so the cockroach, rats, and snake don't come.
Upon the departure of the Silvas family, an old gentleman who dressed up in really fancy and formal clothes came in as a new resident. Instead of touring the house immediately, he stopped at a palm tree and gazed at it for a while, which piqued the curiosity of Leela, Kamal, and Bella. Thanks to that, it led to the three of them discussing what was that old gentleman doing.
What is he doing?
Who knows? He is here to study something.
Study what? The birds?
Anyway, he didn't notice us at all. We all just have to cook the meals and for him to eat them. After this plot, the man gave some money to the three sisters that had helped him to dry his sketching papers. They were really delighted because they could earn their own money.
So, now welcome you all to chapter 9 characters analysis. In this chapter, there are several characters including Harry, Leela, Bella and Kamal, Mr. Jagu, Mr. Penwala, Mr. De Silvas, Mr. Sayed Ali Sahib, policeman, and finally, old gentleman. Without further delay, let's begin with the first character. Harry. Harry is a homesick person. After leaving his hometown living in Bombay, Harry seemed to miss his home a lot. He tried to save money for his family, and one day he saw the school children. Harry also thought of his sisters, Bella and Kamal. He also wants them to write and send him news of home, but he regrets not to tell them his address. Harry grew up as a good person. He is very kind and knows what is right and what is wrong. Even though he didn't have money to buy himself food, when he was starving, he didn't commit stealing. He respects others and loves his jobs at the eating house. Plus, he never caused any trouble with the others. Next, Leela. Leela is a respectful person. She was thankful to Mr. Da Silvas for helping her family. She is also a hard-working and caring person. She helps all the house chores without complaining anything. Leela also looks after her family and serves Mr. Sayed Ali Sahib, one of the friends of Mr. Da Silvas. She does her work very well. She was very happy when she got paid by doing her job. Then Bella and Kamal. They are a curious person and enjoy playing. Both of them got curious and make fun of Mr. Sayed when he's catching the bird. Even both of them is the youngest sister in the family. However, they always help her sister Leela doing the house chores. After that, the fifth character that I would like to describe about is Mr. Jagu. Mr. Jagu is a generous man. Over and above that, he is also a worried man. He is not only providing shelter and food for Harry, but before, he also adopts an orphan child, gives them jobs and a shelter as well. He seems very pleased and take care of Harry. Mr. Jagu always spares some time making Harry happy by sitting, drumming the table, and singing out loud. Last but not least, he also had a village somewhere that he missed, same as Harry. The sixth character is Mr. Panvala. He is the old watchmander. He was an old man who is very kindness and cheerfulness. He is the one who recommend Harry to sleep at the park, and also offer Harry a job whenever he is free from the eating house. He enjoys Harry's company and encourage Harry to learn how to fix the watch. Another character is Mr. Da Silva. He was the one who helped Lila family. He told Lila don't worry about her mother at the hospital. Plus, he also stopped by to give her father some money to keep them going till Lila's mother got well. This indicates that Mr. Da Silva is very kind and caring person. Next, let's talk about Mr. Sayed Ali Sahib. While staying in Lila's house, he never talks with anyone in the house. Instead, just looking birds, trees, and sketch them. He was polite and quiet. He never makes any trouble at all, since he had neither complaints nor demands anything. One day he fell into the creek with a splash. Lila and her sister helped him to retrieve his bag and papers and spread them out on the veranda to dry. That was the day that he spoke to them. He gratefully said thank you and also gave some money to those girls. Move to another character is policeman. He was the one who bullied Harry when Harry go to sleep at the park. He is a very good policeman. He really respects his job. He always look out the people who went in and out of the park. But he was wrong to bully Harry, since Harry just want to rest there and didn't find out first where he is from and why he slept there. He was the policeman. He should not judge people like this. At the end, there was an old gentleman at the park, helped Harry, and the policeman decided to leave Harry alone with an shame by bullying a child. After that day, the policeman greet Harry every night, and he also guides Harry while he sleeps. Finally, the last character that I would like to describe about is the old gentleman. He was the one who helped saving Harry from the policeman at the park. He also demonstrates himself to be a wise and kind man. He tries to tell the police to do his job correctly. By being the police, he should go after the thugs, murderers, thieves, gamblers, and drunkards, those who make life unsafe to live in the locality, not the poor boy who has no home and nowhere to sleep.
Thank you, Long Tai. So let's start with this new point, which we will talk about the theme analysis and psychoanalytic theory. But first, let's start with theme analysis. And here, we will be focusing on the main idea and the underlying meanings that the writer have left in the story. As well as in this chapter, we decided to portray with the four main themes. So let's start off with the first main theme is about social problem that related to discrimination. As we all know, discrimination is the practice of treating one person or group of people less fairly or less well than other. As you can see here in the story, while Harry was resting on the bench, the policeman who guarded around the park came toward Harry and bullied him, since the policeman saw him as the homeless boy. Even though Harry was not doing anything wrong or harming anyone, the policeman still woke him up and told him to get away from the park. Otherwise, he would bring Harry to the police station. However, in that position or status as a policeman, he was not supposed to do this at all. He was supposed to go after the thief, murderer, or drunkard, not an innocent boy who just tried to find a place to sleep. And throughout this, it shown that the policeman was judging other people only by their appearance. So let's move on to another theme. It's about kindness of strangers. As we know that kindness is a type of behaviors marked by the acts of generosity, considerations, and rendering assist or concern for others without expecting prize or award in return. We can see here when Harry first arrived in the city, Harry was all alone in the city and had no friend or relative. He didn't know what to do to earn money in the city. He was hopeless, But somehow he was lucky to catch up with some good people such as Mr. Jagu and Mr. Penbala, who later on assisted to help him in his hard time. Otherwise, he would not be able to survive in the city. In the story, Mr. Jagu, who was the restaurant owner, had shown compassion to a poor boy by providing him food, a place to stay, and even a job. He didn't know Harry at all, but he still helped Harry without any hesitation because he understood about Harry's condition. He even allowed Harry to use his break time to do another work. On top of that, Harry was extremely grateful to Mr. Penvella, a watchmender, for taking him as an apprentice by giving him a part-time work and always gave him a useful advice. Besides these two men, the old gentleman at the park also helped Harry as well when Harry was bullied by the police officer. Even though he didn't know Harry, but he tried his best to stop the policeman from abusing Harry. So we can see that Mr. Jagu, Mr. Penvilla, and the old gentleman did all of this not because they knew Harry very well or expect that Harry would return something back, but because they want to help people. Therefore, it demonstrates that kindness is about helping someone without expecting anything in return. Jumping on to the next theme, which is about hard work paid off. So what we can see in the story, Harry was a very hard-working person who worked all day in the kitchen and sometimes didn't get enough sleep, but he never considered quitting his job, and all of his hard work paid off later on. Harry received love and appreciation from his boss, Mr. Jagu, and even his co-workers were pleased to work with him. More importantly, by never giving up and always enduring in his hardship, Harry had attracted the attention of Mr. Penvella. He had took Harry under his wing by teaching him how to repair a watch, so that Harry could use it as a future career. And for Leela, who was living in the village without her brother, she had many responsibilities, yet she didn't lose any hope or give up at all. Leela had also received a lot of help from the Silva family, and the Silva family even helped her to cover all of the hospital bill for his mother, and also gave some money to her dad. She also got her first salary from Sayyid Ali at the end of the month for supplying him with a meal and keeping a watch on his house. She was delighted, since she was able to use the money to buy extra meal and fruit from her parents. As both Harry and Leela didn't choose to give up, but were brave and hardworking, they both could change their life bit by bit. So now let's move on to the last main theme, which is about family bond. For everyone, the word family means everything, right? Our lives belong there, and it is internal. It is the only place where everybody feels safe and loving whenever we need it. And in this chapter, Harry kept his family as his priority. Harry had to set off to get a job in the city alone in order to save his family from the hard time. He was in a long distance from his family. He was homesick and he thought of his family every day and night. After saw school children wore the same clothes and led to school by their mother and grandparents, it immediately reminded him of his sisters, Bella and Camille. He also had sent the letters to his family to make sure that they would not be worried about him too much. Hence, we can see that family bond is very strong. Harry and his family only separated by the distance, yet his heart was with his family forever, and the distance didn't matter at all. So here come to the end of my part. So let's continue to the next one. Will be presented by Say. Thank you.
Well, after you have been explained regarding the theme analysis of this chapter, now you will be elucidated the main messages. These main messages have been conducted and deeply analyzed based on the psychoanalytic theory, which was found by Sigmund Freud. Before we proceed to the course, let me have some time to recall back your memories about the id, ID, ego, and superego. Well, ID or id basically refers to one part of personality that is entirely unconscious, which wants to gratify all impulses immediately. If the needs aren't met, it creates tension, or in short, we can sometimes consider it as devil soul in our mind. However, ego's job is to acknowledge and deal with reality, ensuring that the things are expressed in ways that are socially acceptable, reasonable, and realistic. While superego is the moral compass of the personality, upholding a sense of right and wrong, it is simply known as the angel soul in our mindset, which usually tells us to do things ethically and morally right. Okay, so now let's take a look at the first main message that has been drawn connectedly to one of our main characters, Harry. His aim is to live in Bombay. He had always been dreaming of migrating from his hometown to Bombay in the aim of finding occupations. So his devil soul kept whispering him to feel the urge to leave home and family. However, the superego is he couldn't leave his mom and his sisters, who were really in need of his presence. They could not live their lives without his existence, as they were all having their own significant responsibilities to tackle and hold the whole family together. If he left, there would be no benefits targeted to his impoverished family, especially food. Therefore, it leads to the ego of his own, which is he decided to leave his biological nuclear family to fulfill his fantasy of living a life in Bombay. Yet he still wrote letters to his home for the sake of enlightening their family members' worries. Not only this, but also righteously he had always been saving his income and sent it home in order to support his family financial crisis. At this point, we can see that his id is more dominant than his superego, yet it was still socially acceptable, which consequently produces the defense mechanism in the matter of sublimation. Having illustrated the issue, we can obviously see that though you're in trouble, you have to find a way out. Just don't stay and adapt to the problem, like how Harry just made a final decision to move to Bombay for the sake of being hired and getting money to support his family. And another main message can be seen in the female character, who is Leela. It is that she wanted to help her mom and to bring her to the hospital, as her mom was sickly homebound, whom Leela had to always keep an eye on 24/7. But she did not have a single penny. She was just hopeless and couldn't help her dying mother. And her superego is that she had to help her mother no matter how, or else she will be imaged as a bad daughter whose mom was not taken a good care of. Otherwise, her ego came to the stage where she came up with an idea of getting a job as a maid under the supervision of Mr. De Silva and Sayyid Ali Sahib in order to tackle her mother's sickness, and finally she did receive money along with getting her mother cured. Within all the aforementioned points, it is best to learn that sometimes you will never know what will be happening in the future. Whenever you are on the optimistic path, there will always be a light guiding you. Now it comes to the end of my part. Let's move on to another interesting point, which is about the connection between studied texts and real life situation.
Greeting teacher and hello everyone. My name is Basaborat and I will be discussing the fourth major point, which analyze how the studied literature relates to everyday life. So now let's see our table of content. The first point we have abusive of power, the second is generosity, the third is social class inequality, and last but not least is change and growth. Without further delay, let's move to the first point, which talk about abusive of power. In the story, the watchmaker suggests Harry sleep in the park because it is cooler there. However, the park was under police patrol. The park police does not want Harry sleeping there and is ready to strike him with his nightstick. Luckily, a passing old man scolded the police for abusing the youngster and urged him to go deal with the actual bad guy instead. The action of the police show an abuse of power and police brutality. Where this happens all the time in real life, where the unwarranted or excessive law, often illegally used against civilians by police officers. As an example, in Cambodia, the traffic police tend to use power to fine people, though sometimes people do not even disobey the traffic sign nor traffic law. And in recent days, a woman in Cambodia has alleged that she was made to pay a traffic fine into an officer's personal ABA account and received no receipt for the fine. This is so wrong. And in brief, I want to say that it is wrong to use your power against those people who are powerless. Moving on to the second point is generosity. A lot of good action has been shown throughout the story, as evident by characters like the watchmaker, Mr. Panrilla, and Mr. De Silva. They all have a heart of gold and have kind-hearted toward other people. As a result, in one of our reflections that emerge in our daily life is generosity. Both people and society as a whole should be compassionate and supportive to those in need, because a small act of kindness could change people's life forever. Just as quoted by Amelia Earhart, a single act of kindness throws out roots in all directions, and the roots spring up and make new trees. And in life, many of you would probably heard about a generous doctor named Mr. Bidrichner. He had been helping many Cambodian kids in terms of health without thinking of receiving any money back. He helped many non-blood related children as he was loaded with his generosity. So the third point is social class inequality. The storyline showed the part where Mr. Da Silva and his family are having their vacation happily at the beach, while Harry is working hard in a hot boiling kitchen. This indicates that some people are really rich to the point where they can buy anything, yet at the same time, some people cannot even afford a plate of rice. And I bet most of you could see in our society, Cambodia, beyond the shopping mall in the center of Phnom Penh, there are areas of the capital rarely seen by us, where more than 400,000 Cambodians work extremely hard in factories for as little as 20,000 real a day. This shows social class inequality in real life. And last but not least is difficulty and growth. As Harry and Leela were ignored by their parents ever since they were at a very young age, they tend to grow mature faster than the ordinary kids, for they knew how to hold their sense of responsibility, resource, in under any circumstance. They didn't even blame their parents, yet they took it as an opportunity to thrive and grow. Just as the quote by William Ellis Channing, difficulties are meant to rouse, not to discourage. The human spirit is to grow strong by conflicts. And in real life, some of you may heard of a girl named Sopiron. As a child, she lived and worked on a garbage dump and didn't go to school. Until the age of 11, she has gone on to win a scholarship to study in Australia and is now set to start a degree. Finally, we would like to say thank you to teachers Mrs. Sovipichanda and Mr. Vituton for letting us explore and obtain another new experience. We hope this video will be useful for our classmates in studying the village by the sea easier and clearer. Our group are utterly happy and excited with this achievement as we have learned multiple new skills. We apologize for all the unintentional mistakes we have made. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Thank you.